Welcome back to Movies in a Nutshell. In this video, we're talking about a Canadian superhero comedy film from 2015 called Turbo Kid. In an alternate 1997, a post-apocalyptic society lives in a trash-strewn barren land known as the Wasteland. Water has become a form of currency due to scarcity, and Zeus, a sadistic and tyrannical overlord of the Wasteland, has a monopoly on it. Scout stands in front of Zeus and an adoring crowd of Zeus's devotees. The overlord enjoys organizing brawls among the people he kidnaps from the city, making them fight to the death. Everyone who dies in the fight is fed into a machine Zeus owns, which shreds and muffles their bodies in order to extract 10 gallons of water. The crowd chanted Scout's name because he had defeated all of the opponents he fought against, but Zeus doesn't want to let Scott go. Zeus orders Skeleton, his right-hand man, to murder Scott with a hammer to the head. Somewhere, a lone teen known as the Kid lives in a bunker. To stay alive, he scavenges the wastelands for valuable artifacts from the past. However, people have turned into bloodthirsty animals, ready to kill anyone for a drop of water as a result of the crisis. The Kid must remain hidden and away from dangerous people to stay safe. The Kid rides his bike to work at a new garbage dump one afternoon. Because he is unfamiliar with the area, the Kid takes extra precautions. He comes across 3 decapitated heads mounted on sticks while rummaging through the trash. The Kid scribbles the location in his notebook, where he keeps track of safe zones. He then flees before being apprehended. The Kid arrives on his bicycle at his home, the underground bunker. All the belongings he discovered at the dumping site are stored inside the bunker. It isn't the safest neighborhood in town, but the Kid has never been attacked. After some time, the Kid eventually makes his way to the nearby pub, reserved exclusively for the patrons who frequent the establishment. Bagu, a water merchant, lives there. The Kid will typically barter the items he discovers with the trader in exchange for provisions such as food and water. This time, in exchange for a single bottle of water, he offers Bagu a pen as a gift. The Kid is feeling down because he won't be able to make it through the week on what he had, so Bagu gives him a comic book about Turbo Rider. A smile spreads across his face because the Kid is such a devoted fan of Turbo Rider. On the other hand, Fred is a professional arm wrestler cowboy. He's also in the pub, taking on an opponent. Fred wins the intense arm wrestling match, and the opponent is forced to buy drinks for the entire pub. Then one of Fred's associates approaches him with some shocking news. Scout, Fred's brother, has gone missing. Fred and his men walk to Zeus' base to look for Scout, oblivious that Scout has already died. Skeleton attacks and brutally kills most of them when they stop to rest. Fred survives and is brought to Zeus' lair. Zeus is familiar with him as a well-known arm wrestler. Zeus asks Fred to demonstrate his moves against Skeleton to test Fred's skills. Fred pretends to extend his hand but attacks them instead. But when he tries to punch Zeus, Skeleton cuts off his hand to prevent him from doing so. At the same time, the Kid is reading a comic in a playground. Suddenly, a teenage girl appears beside him and begins to converse with him as if they are friends. The Kid panics and attempts to flee, but she stops him and forces him to wear an unusual wristband. The girl then begins conversing with a corpse, prompting the Kid to flee. The Kid wakes up in the bunker to find the girl from the playground staring at him. Even though the Kid is uninterested, she introduces herself as Apple and tries to make friends with him. It turned out that Apple had been following the Kid using the wrist device. She returned the comic book that the Kid had dropped in the playground. In exchange, the Kid lets Apple spend a few days with him. He takes her scavenging and teaches her how to stay alive in the wasteland. Soon, the Kid and Apple get along well so far. When asked about her family, Apple explains that her former best friend died, leaving her alone. Apple made the Kid her best friend right away because he was the first person she met after that. The two start to play tag, which reminds Kid of the childhood he never had. However, a man appears out of the bushes and kidnaps Apple. Fearful of being caught, the Kid flees, but the man pursues him. The Kid falls off his bike at one point and lands on top of a bunker door. It snaps, causing him to fall inside. The place the Kid fell into has an odd glowing sphere that the Kid is fascinated by. The bunker lights up as soon as he does, so the Kid carefully moves forward until he comes face to face with the body of his favorite superhero, Turbo Rider, sitting in front of the control panel. According to a recording that started playing, Turbo Rider was supposed to save humanity from destroying the planet, but he was killed. The Kid puts on his superhero costume and discovers it is still functional. The kid now can shoot powerful electricity from his new wristband, killing with a single shot. The kid has transformed into his favorite superhero. The kid goes to search for Apple, but he runs into the man who kidnapped her. The man tries to attack the kid with his detachable punch, but his attack is no match for the turbo's powerful jolt of electricity. Fred, Apple, and a stranger are positioned inside Zeus Lair's empty swimming pool. They'll have to fight Zeus's men, with the losers being juiced for water. Before the fight begins, the kid appears and declares himself a superhero. Zeus chuckles and invites him to demonstrate his abilities, but the kid's wrist device runs out of power and stops working. The kid is thrown into the pool alongside the others, and they begin the fight. Apple begins to beat the enemy, and the others stand in awe. The pool becomes a puddle of blood, but the kid and the team come out on top in the end. The results surprise Zeus, but he ignores his words and attacks the group. While Apple is shot, the others are attacked from behind. The kid's armor suddenly recharges, and he uses his abilities to defeat everyone. The group disperses, leaving Zeus speechless. He orders Skeleton to kill all of them as soon as they are out of sight. Later, Apple and the kid sit together on a couch in the middle of a field. The kid discovers that Apple is a robot when he finds a hole in her chest and realizes that she is mechanical. At first, the kid panics and runs away, but when Apple behaves normally, he goes. Apple also reveals that she is a friendship robot designed to act as the emotional support people need. Apple experiences some moments of sluggishness on the way back to the house. When Apple comes to, she learns that her transmitter has been damaged and that it will only continue to function for a few more days. They run into Bagu, a water trader, searching for a new one. Bagu is aware of a location where many robot parts are dumped, one of which may still have a functional transmitter. The two teens start going towards the dumping ground, but Apple suddenly stops working, impeding their progress. They make their way back to the ruins of a building to spend the night there and get some rest. Apple learns from the kid that when he was young, Zeus was responsible for the death of the kid's parents. Meanwhile, Skeleton and his people tracked down Bagu and kidnapped him. Bagu is questioned about the kid while his internal organs are attached to the wheels of a bicycle. Skeleton kills Bagu even though he reveals they went to where robots are dumped. Skeleton arrives at where the kid and Apple are staying the following morning. They try to escape, but the teens end up trapped on a cliff after running away. Skeleton removes Apple's head with the help of a sharp disc. The kid reaches for Apple's head but falls off the cliff's edge instead. Skeleton is under the impression that they are dead and returns to the Hell House. The fact that the kid's armor allowed him to avoid injury is something that Skeleton is unaware of. Finally, the teens are at the location where the robots are dumped. However, Apple is missing a transmitter and her whole body, apart from her head. The kid tries to wake her up by taping her head to the body of some random person, but she doesn't wake up. A flashback reveals that Zeus used to be nothing more than a scavenger before he murdered the kid's parents and robbed them. The kid awakens to discover that he is currently in the company of Fred. Apple was a hopeless cause, so the man abandoned her at the dump while Fred took the kid to a safer location. Skeleton materializes in front of them at that very moment once more. As Fred and the kid prepare to fight, we see Apple slowly returning to life. She searches for her friend using the device that she wears on her wrist. When they arrived back in the streets, Zeus joined his right-hand man and mocked Fred and the kid for attempting to fight them. Then, a group of Zeus people attacks the kid and Fred. Since the kid's previous fall off the cliff, his armor has become inoperable, so the kid is forced to rely solely on his own physical prowess to win against his enemies. As people kill each other gruesomely, the area devolves into a pool of blood. Even Fred manages to break Skeleton's hand, leaving him defenseless. The kid gives it his all and successfully kills most opponents, but he has trouble defeating a specific enemy. At that moment, Apple rides up on her bicycle and uses a unicorn horn to stab the enemies. She catches up with the kid and provides him with a spare part for his armor that will allow him to fix it. Despite this, Zeus does not intend to give up. He shoots the kid and Apple, declaring victory. However, Zeus is completely oblivious that the kid is shielded by his armor and Apple is a robot. The kid launches his final attack on Zeus, ultimately resulting in the tyrant's death. The kid and Apple share a passionate kiss under the rain of blood, but they are taken aback by a surprising turn. Zeus gets back on his feet, revealing that he is actually a robot and showing that the kid's attack had no effect on him. Apparently, Zeus is a corporate model intended to make and instigate corporate policy, but was insulted by his master. As a result, Zeus murdered his master, and over the course of many years, he established his kingdom to rule over human beings. The kid tells Zeus he's trying to fix things, but Zeus is still angry and attacks the kid and Apple. The kid is forced to blow Zeus up using the earlier explosives that Fred brought along. However, the explosion also affects the kid and Apple. Apple manages to save the kid, but at the cost of her own life, as the kid grieves, holding Apple in his arms. After Apple dies, the kid buries her. Fred explains that a stream of water to emerge from the ground, caused by one of the earlier explosions. Fred plans to bring it to the people of the wasteland in the hopes that he can prevent the loss of hundreds of lives. After wishing Fred good luck, the kid rides off into the distance. That's all for the video, and we hope you leave a like and subscribe. Also, don't forget to turn on that notification bell to be updated on the latest from Movies in a Nutshell.